to go through there, but we'll see what happens. There is Julian Correa on pole position, closest to you. Evan Belford on the middle of the front row, Harley McCabe on the outside. Tension then is in the air as we wait for the green flag to fly. It does now. 14 laps of the second race of the RMG British Talent Cup. Coming up then, eyes to the light on the left-hand side of your screen. Wait for the red lights to come on. They do so now. Lights out and we're underway. Great start from Julian Correa off of pole position as they head down in towards the first corner. Riders getting into the slipstream then, as you can see Evan Belford ducking in behind the number 40 of Julian Correa. Look at Lucas Brown there on the inside. Sullivan Mounds, not made a particularly brilliant start from that second row of the grid and is possibly going to be trying to attack against Alexander Rowan as they come through Hollywood and down the Crater curves. But the top two of Correa and Belford have got a bit of daylight between themselves and Harley McCabe in third place already. And there goes Belford through at the old hairpin for the race lead.
That was an incredible start by Julian Correa. He caught me off guard. I thought he'd actually jumped the start. It was that good. He really reacted well to the lights and jumped off the line.
Yeah, really nice start for Julian Correa. Here comes Lucas Brown having a look to try and pick the pocket of Harley McCabe and does so into McLean's then, so up into third place for Harley McCabe. Can he try and get himself onto the back of Evan Belford? Keep an eye out as well further behind because just keeping an eye on where Harrison de Soy is. He was 10th on the grid, but it looks like he's made a pretty good start in this race. Let's see, as he is, yes, in there behind Lucas Brown. We see him there on the 55, just on the inside of the number 29. He's already up into fourth place as he comes into the Foggy S's. So a really good start from 10th on the grid. He's trying to make hay whilst the sun shines, so the field is all bunched up.
Yeah, yesterday there was a little bit of a break at points where the group gets split up. These three last corners, there's often big overtakes in there and it runs people wide and it can quickly split the group. So it's important to make the moves early in the race before the front bunch can escape.
Here's Belford having a look to the inside at Goddard. Not close enough at the moment. Harrison de Soy looking pretty menacing though in third position. I have to say, good start to the race for Ryan Frost as well. He's circulating, I believe, just outside of the top 10. Let's count them as we go over the timing line. So it is Correa, Belford, de Soy, Harley McCabe there in fourth place at the moment. There goes de Soy up the inside. So it's Mike Lewis, Cresswell Racing Machines 1 and 2 at the start of lap 2 here at Donington Park. Now Harrison de Soy has got his teammates to contend with as they come down the Crater curves. Ryan Frost up into 16th place across the timing line, so a very good start to the race for him. He looks just in the back there. We saw Sullivan Moundsy looking pretty close onto the back of Harley McCabe for fourth place. Not quite able to make anything stick through there. Nose to tail we run him meanwhile with the top three as they flick it left into Starkey's. Then it's the right-hander of McLean's. Soy looking to the inside line there. Belford just keeping a watching brief on proceedings for now.
Yeah, Evan was very impressive yesterday and as well as Julian Correa, so it's nice that they've all got away. They've had a nice clean start to this race. I also should have gave a shout out to Harley McCabe, who's incredibly unlucky yesterday. Had a really good ride and crashed in the final corner. So some really good up-and-coming talent this year. Last year, there's sort of Johnny Garness was a standout towards the end of the year, but now it's nice to see them all bunched up together. Obviously missing Emmanuel Brinton this weekend as he's over in Spain, but good racing.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see Sullivan Moundsy now on the charge, getting himself ahead of Belford. Chatter on the front end into the Melbourne loop. He seems really confident looking at Sullivan Moundsy on the brakes. That looks to be where his strengths lie.
Yeah, Sullivan's strong. Also Lucas Brown there in the background. I forgot to say at the time, his lunge into turn one on the first lap was incredible. He went past two people at once. So again, yesterday we were talking about how some of the bigger riders appear to be stronger on the brakes and then the smaller ones have got more of an advantage on the straight. So Lucas, he's definitely using his size to his advantage as he's breaking into these last three corners.
Harrison de Soy now in front ahead of Julian Correa, who has a wobble into Rickett. Is that going to push him a little bit wide, maybe allow Moundsy to get the switch back on the exit of the corner? He's certainly looking close, but Belford's got great momentum coming out of Hollywood then, down into the Crater curves. He's going to be side by side here with Moundsy, just backs out of it at the last moment, but yeah, looking pretty good there. And the thing is, you can see Lucas Brown just getting himself out of position a little bit, and it's one or two places lost.
This track, especially in the first half, is so fast and flowing. If you run a little bit wide at turn one, for instance, that sets you off on the wrong line for turn two at the top of Crater curves. If you don't carry your momentum down there on these smaller bikes, you lose all your drive coming out the old hairpin, and it's sort of a knock-on effect. So you can see now how Harrison's just crept away just by a couple of little overtakes, and Sullivan has a big overtake in that.
So he dives up the inside into Coppice. Lucas Brown was able to get ahead. He's a bit frustrated there, I think, with Sullivan Moundsey's antics. It was a bit of an audacious pass into there, but it was clean, and he made the move stick. Evan Belford now on the attack there as well, so Brown could be set to lose 2 places as they go side by side in towards the foggy edges. You can see there, just lifting up the front wheel for Sullivan Moundsey in the mid part of the corner. He really does push very hard. He's struggled to stay on the bike though, so consistency would be very important as he dives to the inside of Julian Correa. At the Melbourne loop, just manages to keep it on the straight and narrow, but you have to be so committed into that.
Yeah, and we were just looking on that last lap. Harrison did the fastest lap of the race. Not sure that's quite the lap record. They did 40.6 yesterday, 0.3 off that, but Julian Correa's done a really good lap here, purple in the 3rd sector to bridge the gap a little bit.
So across the timing line we go, already on lap number 4. Mounty in the slipstream here of Julian Correa, likewise Belford in the slipstream of Lucas Brown, down towards the first corner. Positions stay as they are then. So 10 laps remaining here, and Harrison Desoy, I have to say, whilst they've been squabbling for second with Correa and Mounty, he's just been able to build a bit of a gap out. It's over half a second last time around as they came across the line.
Yeah, the middle 2 sectors, the 2 behind him actually clawed him back in a little bit, but the first sector and the last sector is incredibly strong.
Ryan Frost there, you can see him just in front of Josh Bannister. Right at the back of the grid, of course, was Ryan Frost, as we know, due to the accumulation of penalty points. He's at the back of the grid, and he has made his way up into 11th place, just ahead of Bannister. He's got a bit of a gap to close up onto the back of Charlie Huntingford now then. So it's been a good race here for Ryan Frost. He was incredibly impressive with his racecraft yesterday. Just a shame, of course, he's at the back of the grid, so he's not going to be in contention at the moment for the race lead.
Yeah, a difficult one. It was such a small little thing yesterday. It was more of a coming together of 2 lines, and unfortunately the knock-on effect of that with his penalty points already. And the long lap yesterday sort of spoiled 2 races where he was more than capable of being in that front bunch and being in the podium fight. So frustrating. And again with Moto3, a little bit when if you're not there at the start, all these big groups appear, and when you then don't have the slipstream to drag you up to the next group in front, it makes it hard work.
But the disappearing gap for Desoy there, because he was half a second up over the timing line last time around. It's very much underneath that now, with Julian Correa, Sullivan Moundsey, Evan Belford and Tal all very close now behind. And in his wheel tracks, they come across the timing line. He's bound to get a jig to the inside of Julian Correa down into Redgate. He certainly thought about it, and he wasn't quite able to launch a move into there.
It was an incredible lap by Evan Belford on that last lap, 40.2. That's 0.4 under the lap record they set yesterday, and pulled himself back into this fight.
Yeah, Belford in the paddock on Friday was a bit shy about being named as the favourite for the championship. Of course, with Garnes being out for the foreseeable future, it does mean that the mantle has to go to somebody else. And Belford, with his pace and consistency so far in 2023, is certainly right up there, leading the standings now after his result here yesterday as well. But he didn't quite want to put his name onto the championship. I think he's just thinking about it on a race-by-race basis.
Yeah, I mean, championships, they sort of look after themselves. As long as you're fast and consistent every weekend, it's just about looking at the next obstacle in front of you. If you start thinking this early about a championship, you can almost get distracted by that. So he's doing a fantastic job so far, and perhaps doesn't maybe want to jinx himself by saying he's the favourite, but he's looking every bit of a champion to be so far.
Ollie McCabe just sitting at the back of this group at the moment, and he's had good pace so far this weekend as Ollie McCabe, as we know, very unlucky with that high side out of the final corner. We're going to be set for a lead change here, not quite there. Julian Correa looking to the inside of his teammate, bit of a wobble for Desoy on the brake, and just allows his teammate Correa to close up, but again not quite there to sling one up the inside of him. Belford looking pretty menacing here on the brakes. But just going back to Harley McCabe, who's sitting there at the moment in P6 just behind, as we said, very, very unlucky yesterday, but looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do as this race progresses, keeping his powder dry for now as the riders head down into the first corner of Redgate. Coming towards the end of lap 6, it's Belford in front then from Harrison Desoy. Sullivan Moundsey there just keeping his powder dry. Desoy's going to repay the favour on Belford and goes through at the Melbourne Loop for the race lead. Can he hold the line? Yes, he can. And now it is Desoy back in front. What do you think would have been going through his mind aside from frustration after that crash yesterday? How do you think he'll be using that to his advantage today?
Well, that was the reason for me predicting him to win, because he was more than fast enough yesterday, and just unfortunate in the way that he went down. So yeah, that there's nothing motivates riders more than when they lose out on results that were rightfully theirs yesterday. So definitely looked motivated straight away from the start. He was up 9 positions from 10th on the grid, although difficult to get away from Evan Belford here when he keeps breaking a lap record every lap.
Yeah, Evan Belford with the lap record, as you say, a 1:40.162. That was nearly half a second faster than Harrison de Soy, race leader. So Belford looking pretty handy here so far as they flick it through the old hairpin then. Sullivan Mounty trying to go to the outside of Belford as they flick it left through Swanson into Starkeys. They'll flick it right into McLean's in a few moments' time, but it is de Soy in front, followed by Belford, followed by Mounty. The top three have just been able to build a bit of a gap here over Lucas Brown too.
Yeah, yesterday the fastest lap being a 40.6, and this time they've dropped right down to 40.1 now, and just by doing that they've broken away. If they can keep at that pace, that does seem to separate them from the next three. Although, just as I say that, Lucas Brown looks like he's put in a good first 2 sectors there.
That's the thing, isn't it? Just consistency in different parts of the lap brings those gaps down so quickly. Belford looking pretty handy here on de Soy, having a half look up the inside, but not close enough to be able to mount a serious attack at the moment as they flick it out of the foggy S's. Maybe he'll think about something into the Melbourne loop. Sullivan Mounty looking pretty good on the inside there. Julian Correa and Lucas Brown going toe-to-toe for 4th place at the moment. Brown now ahead of Correa for the time being.
Evans definitely very good in all the fast and slow sections, but Harrison seems very strong on the brakes and making it difficult for Evan to get past and get away. I think the lap times Evan was doing, if he was at the front doing those, it would be more difficult for Harrison to keep in front of him or make overtakes on him, but because he's staying in front, he's managing to defend. You see how strong he is there on the brakes as they enter into the corner. Then Evan rails through the corner and sort of carries the momentum on the way out. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have time to then make an overtake. You can see here, he sort of sets him up for the left most laps and isn't quite close enough. And frustrating when it's like that because you can't get past and can't use your momentum around the rest of the track.
Mounty's actually loving this first sector as well. A little bit further back, you can see the action going on here. That is the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford, just ahead of Josh Bannister the rest of the field. This is in the battle for 10th place at the moment, just on the fringes then of the top 10. So points positions up for grabs with these riders, and look at how close they are, all running nose to tail as they flick it through the left-hander. Bannister there with a bit of pressure being put on him as they come through the right-hander of McLean's then. Charlie Huntingford actually having a really good run so far this weekend. He got his first points last time out at Silverstone, 10th place in race 1, 14th in race 2. And he's looking pretty good to make that forward progression. And the thing is, some riders have had a couple of years in here, others it's their first season, and Charlie Huntingford seems like he's adapting to this class quite well.
Yeah, that's a real mixed bag of ability, not so much ability, but experience in this class. We get young riders coming through just off the O'Varleys and smaller bikes, also the Supersport 300 class, and moving into the more sort of Grand Prix racing machine, the prototype bike. So some of these guys during the year will make huge leaps and bounds just by the amount of track time they get during the year. And yeah, there's a lot of really good talent at the front of this, dragging everyone on.
Start of lap 9 then, here comes Sullivan Mounty to the inside of Harrison de Soy. Great momentum he had out of Goddard and gets ahead before they go into Redgate then. So Harrison de Soy now the rider who is gone from defending to attacking. Evan Belford there just watching how it all unfolds in front of him as they go through the left-hander of the Craner curves. You can't just describe how incredible it is to ride a motorcycle through those Craner curves as these riders change hands for the lead. Sullivan Mounty now going through, and Evan Belford also trying to challenge here with Harrison de Soy flicking it left, and great momentum on the exit of the old hairpin there as Evan Belford goes through and gets 2 places in the space of 2 corners. And here comes Lucas Brown from absolutely nowhere up the inside of Harrison de Soy and Sullivan Mounty up into 2nd place. Into Coppice they go and over the rise. That was absolutely inspired from Lucas Brown.
I wasn't expecting any of that. It just all appeared out of nowhere. This is now where Evans really got to get his head down and use his momentum that his strong part of the track, the first half of this lap. If he can keep in front here through the last sector where it's more about heavy braking, where Harrison and Sullivan seem to be strong, he might just be able to break away, but it's not easy, especially Sullivan's so strong in here on the brakes, and Harrison as well.
Tap on the tail for Harrison de Soy coming out of the foggy S's. We know it's a universal symbol. We know that it rarely works for these riders as well. Bit of a look over the shoulder there for Evan Belford as he just tries to see where Mounty and Desoy are sitting, and Mounty uses that to his advantage, dives to the inside at Goddard and goes through into the race lead. He looks really strong, and the thing is, if he can set that up on the final corner of the final lap, he could be in the pound seats.
Yeah, that's it. And Harrison on the lap before, when he got overtaken, he looks to fight back straight away. It's really good racecraft. Every time you fight back, it stops the other rider breaking away at the front, especially when you've got riders like Evan that are so fast and running such good, consistent lap time. So Harrison using his strength. Sullivan also using his strength, but this is the best part of the track for Evan here through the trainer curves.
We're coming in towards the closing stages, and we were looking at the Junior Supersport action earlier on. Just having a look here at Ryan Frost. He's now managed to make his way up into 7th place, which is super impressive considering he was at the very back of the field in 28th position. But I was talking to your father, actually, Neil Mackenzie, in the box earlier when we had Junior Supersport, and I said to him, you know, what's the psychology when you're riding like this? Is it a case of pass or be passed, or do you think about what's going on? And he said, well, when you're in a group like this, it's pass or be passed.
100%, that's what I teach my 2 riders in my team myself, especially on the first lap. That's one of the most important things. It is pass or be passed, and this area of the race, especially in these last dying laps, it is a case that you see every time. If someone just sits there for 2 corners and doesn't make a move, they get overtaken. So it's difficult. You can't really break away when people keep overtaking, but it's part of it. And although sometimes it can be frustrating if you feel like you've got the pace, it also means that you can keep yourself in the fight.
That was Desoy, late dive to the inside of Evan Belford, little bit of hip and shoulder between the two, and that might allow Mounty and Brown to try and join in here. Here comes Belford to the inside. Desoy's going to try and go for the long sweeping line around the outside and holds firm then. So he's now in front as they come to the end of lap 10. Across the timing line we go. Mounty looking pretty good there. Keep an eye out for Correa and McCabe at the back of this gaggle of riders as well. So 6 riders all battling for the lead. It's looking pretty interesting to see how this is all going to work out with the riders as we come in towards the closing stages of this one.
Harrison was so strong on the brakes there. Evan was more or less already past him, and he was able to release the brake around the outside, which is not easy to do. You're on a much wider line. You've then got to turn in with a brake on, which makes it much more difficult. So it was an amazing pass to keep himself at the front there.
9-point standings. If the checkered flag fell now, Evan Belford would have a 13-point advantage going into the next round of the championship. That's actually 3 points fewer than he had coming into this one. Look at Lucas Brown. Wow, up the inside of Evan Belford and Sullivan Mounty. A little bit wide on the exit of McLean's, and that might allow Mounty to go back through, and it does.
He's so strong into there, into McLean's. It's not easy to pass him there. As you come up around the left of Schwantz and then it sort of turns right, it's a little bit blind, especially when you're following people in there, and you really need to have them turn left more to allow the gap to appear, because just when you need to make an overtake, the track sort of veers out towards you. But he's able to do that last 2 laps in a row, so really good riding.
Evan Belford then just sitting off of the podium for the first time in this one, or is he? Because he's going to go to the inside of Lucas Brown here at the Melbourne Loop. Not close enough at the moment. So it is Desoy then from Sullivan Mounty. Then you can see Lucas Brown on the black number 29 machine. Really impressive performance here yesterday afternoon. Really good on the brakes as Mounty dives to the inside here of Harrison Desoy. 2 by 2 they go through the final corner. It's now Mounty out in front once again. So a couple of laps, few laps now remaining as they come across the line once more. And it's a 6-way tussle for the lead. Look at Evan Belford there. 4th place. He's going to go for 3rd. He is down into Redgate as Desoy goes for the lead on Mounty. Gets the apex. Holds firm. A little bit wide on the exit of the corner out of Hollywood, and that allows Mounty just that opportunity to get back past once again.
Yeah, Donington Park is a very difficult a very difficult track to set your bike up for. The first half, this sector especially.
Oh, look at this. Desoy going for the outside line, pushing the front end. He runs it a bit wide. That's going to allow Belford through, and possibly opportunity knocking here for Lucas Brown as well as they flick it through the left-hander. Brown on the outside, but he's going to be on the inside line for the right-hander of McLean's, but the door's very firmly closed as Mounty's a little bit wide on corner entry, and now he's trying to use that momentum as they come over the rise and into Coppis. This has been a prime overtaking spot for Mounty, but he's not quite close enough at the moment. Let's have another look and see what happened then here. So this is Desoy on the outside, Mounty on the inside. Look at the front end wobble there.
Yeah, it's very tricky when you end up on the outside there, because the track's dropping away from you. The camber is really on the inside of the track, and once you get on the outside there, once you release the brake, it's really difficult to get it back to the apex.
All wide for Lucas Brown at the foggy S's. That's going to allow Correa an opportunity here. Taps on the tail once again. We know it never works, but they're still trying it, even if it is in vain. Here comes Desoy to the inside of Belford at the Melbourne Loop. and up into second place for now then for Harrison Desoy. I have to say, considering he was on the deck and that frustration he must have been feeling yesterday, he is doing everything right so far in this race. But he's got Evan Belford for company. Doesn't matter about that though, he dives to the inside of Mounsey and manages to get it stopped at Goddard as well.
He's incredible on the brakes into these last few corners. It's really going to be a case in the dying stage of this race for him to just make sure he's settled in the right position, because I don't think anyone will be able to outbrake him if he's in the right position. More difficult for Evan, because I feel like Harrison and Sullivan will be able to pass him into the last few corners. So for Evan to win this, he's probably going to have to make a pass earlier in the lap, try and do his best to make a gap before the last few corners.
Oh, I was grimacing watching Harrison Desoy going into the left-hander of Cranus, but he managed to get the move done and stick one up on Sullivan Mounsey, but Mounsey gets really good drive coming out of the old hairpin. Belford's trying to join in on the action here too, as they flick it through the left-hander. Right of McLean's is next. Desoy holds firm with a nice, easy defensive line, but it looks like Mounsey just going for that nice sweeping line to try and get more momentum out of the corner.
Yeah, it's important at Donington. It's so fast and flowing, especially through McLean's and Coppice, that you have to really keep your momentum, especially on these smaller bikes, because they don't accelerate unless you do keep your momentum going.
Looks like it's almost becoming a bit of a four-way scrap now here between these. Julian Correa, Harley McCabe, they're sitting there in the background watching what's happening unfolding in front of them, but they're just not quite close enough to start making the moves for the podium positions, which is a bit of a shame for them. I think they'll have been hoping for perhaps a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the pace of this race feels a little bit faster, and I think that up in the pace with Harrison being in it today has made it more difficult for them. I think they're just sort of hanging on a little bit more than being able to make the overtakes like they were yesterday.
So ready then to begin the final lap into Goddard for the penultimate time. It's Desoy from Mounsey from Belford, and Lucas Brown goes down at the final corner. Oh, what a shame for the number 29. He was riding so well, a podium yesterday, but it is nil point here this afternoon for him, and unfortunately he crashes out just before the start of the final lap. Let's piece together what happened. I reckon it's going to be a classic front end washout, and there we go.
Yeah, it went quite early actually though. He must have been carrying a lot of brake going in. Just as you brake and you turn in here, you'll see the track drop away from you, and it's just as the track drops away, he's lost the front, unfortunately.
Yeah, off-camber corner is Goddard. A lot of bumps being removed thanks to the resurfacing, but look at this, 3 wide as we flick it through the left-hander of Swanson into Starkings and then McLean. So it's Mounsey with Desoy and Belford going for the lead. Desoy then in front from Mounsey as they flick it through the right-hander. The rise over Coppice is next. This is where we know that Mounsey has been really strong so far, but he's not close enough at the moment to sling one up the inside. It's surely going to be the final series of corners. Maybe the Foggy S's will be his first opportunity.
I think this is going to be tricky here. Harrison's so late on the brakes that he sent them down the other side, which makes it even more difficult to pass.
We're going to go 3 wide here. Look at Belford trying to go for the inside line on Desoy. Desoy's really late on the brakes. He manages to get it stopped. Runs it a bit hot in the first part of the corner. That might cost him a bit of momentum and allow a bit of breathing space here for Sullivan Mounsey, who could be set to claim his first win of the 2023 British Talent Cup. Here comes Belford to the inside. 2 for the price of 1 for Evan Belford. What a move from the 52, but he runs it a bit hot. Is that going to compromise his run on the exit and on the run down into Goddard? When he's got track position, he's got the lead, and if he can hold it firm on the brakes, but he's too deep. Here comes Desoy and Mounsey going through. Oh, Mounsey goes down and high side out of the final corner. Evasive action for Belford and for Julian Correa, but it's Harrison Desoy who's on top ahead of Harley McCabe. Evan Belford